Culture Shock Therapy, where we get into a whole lot of therapy for all of the culture shocks we experienced as third culture kids. We are your hosts. I am Shannah. This is my sister Tessa. And today we will be getting into our third episode of season two. Kind of sporadically thought of the title, A Place in This World. Before we get into it, I am so sorry. I'll let you speak in like a second. We're just gonna check in with each other, some life updates, and then we'll get into the big bad and the
Episode.
ugly. Yeah,
Whenever you say place in this world, I think of the Michael W. Smith song that we grew up listening to.
yeah,
Very beautiful song.
very valid too.
But check in. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Um, I have a little bit of an update. The about 2.5 weeks ago, I got engaged. So I am on the list to be getting married in the coming few years. I will like here's the you can see it. Maybe I do not know. Maybe you cannot. But yeah. So that happened. Very excited. Um, Seeing everybody's reactions was a lot of fun. I was really excited to get to tell people and yeah, enjoying people's responses and their congrats and like I've been hugged to no end in the last few weeks.
Mind you, Shauna's not a hugger, so
I'm
that's
not
always
really
fun.
very much of a hugger, that is right. But I thought, for this
People are allowed to hug me.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like
What
at the wedding, there will be a tax of, okay, we've reached 50 hugs. Okay, no more. It's done.
the evening guests may not. Yeah.
Um, that giraffe suit that I had at the
Yeah.
birthday party. The birthday party sounds like we're five. Um, it had like the second half of the giraffe sticking out in the head. I'll add a little photo in the thing. I was thinking if you want people to keep their distance, wear that because it was very hard to get close to people to
It's a
talk
little
to them.
it's like my personal aura bubble that you
Exactly.
cannot enter. Yeah. Yeah, so that is something I'm very excited about. Yeah, just kind of living on a pink cloud. Is that the right word? A pink cloud
No,
on the cloud in the clouds
no, no.
on cloud 9.
Cloud nine.
Something with clouds.
That's the English way.
Yeah.
Cloud nine.
Yeah.
Pink cloud is
In
Dutch.
Dutch you say pink cloud roze wolk, which is like on cloud 9.
Wow, when you said pink cloud, it sounded so like a Dutch accent.
Pink cloud.
That sounds Filipino.
Oh,
But
sorry. Struggling to find my place in this world, to be honest, with these accents. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I have just, if all is well, this week and next week, and then I'm done at my job.
What a
Um,
relief.
and I'll have a few weeks off.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be going in the right direction that I might have a new job lined up. I
Oh, how
have my
good.
yeah, I have my second interview next week.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly thought that I wrecked it
Oh,
because I had
but that's
two.
usually sometimes that's a good sign. Yeah.
Well, no, because okay, I had two interviews, but it was the interview of the one that I'm talking about was planned like weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
And the other interview, they called me on Tuesday, and the interview was on Thursday, and they're like, we can only do Thursday, and we can
Oh,
only do 11. And I was like, well, I really can't at 11
yeah.
because I'm working and I have like, what do you call it, meetings with parents to talk
Mm.
about the kind of help that they need for their kid. They're like, fine, we can do it 12. So I was,
Wow.
yeah, so I was rushing like crazy. Um, which gave me a lot of stress because I went to the place that I work first. That's a like 30-45 minute drive. Um, and then I did my appointments there, and then I rushed to interview one. And that interview was with four different people.
Oh, that one.
It
Oh,
was
that is
intense.
terrifying.
It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun, honestly. It was a good interview, but it was just intense to have four people interviewing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and at one point during the interview, I said
It's like you're
something.
at a hearing.
Yeah, it honestly felt like that. And at one point I said something and that seemed to hit the wrong note, and I was like, oh no, you're just like, you feel it all crumbling, and then
Oh,
I managed to turn it around because it just kind of came out wonky.
okay.
Um, and I actually it went better than I expected, and I was more positive than I expected to be. So I was looking forward to that. But after that interview, I had to rush home. So that was a 45-minute to an hour drive. And I was home for like 30 minutes, in which I had a meeting online. And mom was babysitting my kid. He broke down crying when I had to leave. And it didn't help me leave at all.
Mm.
And I was ready, just mentally dead, because that interview took a lot out of me. And then I was late to my next interview because I couldn't find parking or whatever. So it was just a really stressful day. And then I get to that interview and I was just at some points too tired to formulate my sentences and
Mm,
think of answers, or I would just be talking in blank.
in blank.
You know, your
How
mind
does
just
one speak
blanks.
in blank?
My mind would blank,
Oh yeah.
and I kept saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired. You know, it's the end of the day." And later I was like, "Crap, I don't want them thinking I'm like this at the end of every day."
Yeah.
And I left that interview thinking I screwed that up,
Yeah.
but I did well in the first interview, so maybe. And I saw that they had called me twice from the first interview, but I was in my interview, so I couldn't pick up. And they left a voice message. And as I'm walking to my car, I heard the voice message, and they're like, "Hey, you know, you have so much experience, and we really enjoyed the interview with you, but there's better suited people for this."
I hate that.
Um, so I was like, I'm going to be jobless forever. I completely screwed this up. And the second interview, we agreed, like, oh, we'll have contact next week, let it all sink in a little bit. And I was just feeling so down, like I screwed this up. And then the next morning, I was just hanging out with my kid making breakfast, and they called already. And they're like, "Yeah, we wanna invite you for a second interview." I was like, "Oh, seriously? I didn't expect that. I really thought I messed it up." They're like, "No, no, they noticed that you were tired and
Mm.
had some issues like formulating your sentences."
Oh, that's
Um,
lovely that
well,
they saw through that. They're like,
yeah,
oh, you were just struggling a little bit because it's been like a hell of a day, and
yeah, and
they
they
saw
didn't.
through that little thing and saw more like the qualifications that
Yeah,
were
they
there.
said we have enough. What? Yeah, raakvlakken. Um,
Things in common, I
yeah,
guess.
things in common to do this, like to work together. Um, and they didn't know about the day that I had.
Mm.
So I said as well, like, yeah, you know, I'm really happy they saw through that, and that the second interview option was either on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. or a Thursday at 9 a.m. And I was like, well, let's do the 9 a.m. I do not want to run the risk that I'm going to be
The
tired again.
ADHD paralysis. You
Um,
can't do anything.
no, and it's at the end of the day, so the chances that I'll be tired are high. Um, so it's next week Thursday. I'm gonna make sure I slept well and I'm 100% ready. Um,
Set like 5 alarms.
you know, I
Oh yeah, Bo is your alarm.
yeah, I
Sorry.
was
Yeah.
gonna say I never have issues like waking up, but I have issues waking up in the sense if I don't want to wake up yet.
Yeah.
And if that goes well, we'll have the like contract interview. But it'll just be nice to know that there's a job waiting for you. And then I plan to start on the 1st of September if that's okay for them too, or maybe even 1st of October, because I was considering starting after Singapore, but I'm not too sure. Um,
I think that might give you a good needed break to kind of like get your ducks in a row and prepare mentally for a new job. And
yeah, and I don't want all of my vacation days to immediately be gone because I'm going to Singapore.
yeah.
So then it might be nice to be jobless for a little while longer.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll do that, like I'll talk to them about that. So that's a bit of a long update, but that's the current situation. And it was nice because my like semi new manager that I have right now, for the past 2 months, she said that she was really impressed with like the fact that I'm still working really hard, despite how everything went with me losing the job, and she wanted to meet me in the middle. So she's like, "Hey, finish your work, and you don't have to, come extra. You can leave early, have some like free vacation days." So I was like, "Oh, okay, I don't mind
That's
that."
nice.
Yeah, especially because I still have 4 weeks of vacation in my salary,
Mm-hmm.
so they're gonna pay that, and I don't have to give any of my vacation days for these extra days. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
nice.
is
Things are kind of like coming together.
slowly. If this pans out, then if it doesn't pan out, then I'll be full on stress again. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, just trying to get through this week and next.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yeah, preach. Yeah. Okay.
that
Well,
is my life update. So you want to talk about place in this world? Still thinking of the song
yeah, I just thought that might be like a um all um
encompassing.
encompassing theme.
Because
Um
isn't it weird that we've almost lived here longer than we lived in Singapore, making Singapore less relevant in our lives than the Netherlands. Um, Meaning it's not the primary part of our growing up anymore.
mhm. Mhm. Yeah. When we were sitting outside and talking today about like our theme of the week, this was just like the one sentence that like popped in my mind like instantaneously. Like I didn't have like anything specific to speak about, but I guess coming up on that time where it's like your longest lived in country is like they're starting to compete now, um and going into adulthood, like I'm going on 30 soon, and I mean you're in your your late 20s. So yeah, we are officially like full-fledged adults, finding your place in this world, not only as a third culture kid but also just going into like I would almost call it like absolute adulthood, you know?
Yeah, I feel like your 20s are still for figuring things out, and once you
Yeah.
hit your if I'm distracted, my nose is whistling every time I breathe. uh,
I hear it very subtly.
try to no, that's not working. uh for those of you listening, I was trying to get the nose whistle in the microphone,
Yeah,
but that
she
didn't
like
work.
stuck like the mic like halfway
I
up her
didn't.
nostril.
um in my memories, mom and dad had everything so together in their 30s. And if I compare it, like, I honestly feel like parenting and adulting is fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So our perspective of them having it all together is probably less than how they different than how they experienced it. They were just, figuring it out as they go as well.
Yeah.
Because if I look at, my family right now, we definitely don't have it all. I mean, we're enjoying, we're doing good, but
Yeah.
we don't have anything. That's not true. We don't have it all together. Um, and it's just funny to have like that realization when you come into those phases of life. Um, how different it is than what you kind of expected it to be or what you thought it would be growing up.
Yeah, but like can you actually like imagine? Like mom was 22 when she got married, and then she was just 26 when she had me. When I think of myself at those ages,
Not
I'm like,
not.
bruh, I'm just a baby. you
And they
know
were
that?
living in a country far away from home. There is no such thing as FaceTime, and you would fax, and once a week you would call
Yeah,
because it was very expensive. So it was like a 5-minute call
you would write handwritten letters.
that
Um,
would take more than a week to get
yeah,
there.
I think it would not be responsible in any sense of the word if I, in fact, at that age, got married and had children.
But at the
Um,
same time, I think, yeah, that's easy to say now. But if you had done it, you would have just done it. It would have been life. Like,
you speak the truth.
I know.
However, if I look back at my 20s,
No, of course. But it's always easy
it
to say
was
those
not.
things in hindsight. Like, um,
I don't think I could have made so much room for personal growth
fair.
if that was my life in my 20s.
At the
Because
same time, I disagree. I feel like going through those things is just a different road to personal growth. Becoming a mom has forced me to grow so much in a different way than I would have if I wouldn't have become a mom. And maybe if I hadn't become a mom at 25, um, and I would be 28 right now, looking back, I would have said, no way, I should have had kids at 25. But now I have, and that's just reality. And
mm,
that caused me to take a different train in growing. Um, because kids are mirrors. I was going to say monsters. Oh my god.
well, it depends on how you raise them, I guess.
um, but they're pure mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
and they force you to deal with things because you can't. I mean, obviously, you don't become perfect once you become a parent, and yes, you could choose not to deal with things and lessen the.
Well, I think
Um,
you very much get confronted with any underlying issues you have interpersonally. Like, um, we both for with you, it's already also diagnosed, right? You have ADHD too.
it's not. I did the test. It just wasn't done by someone who was officially allowed to diagnose me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. So apparently, like that could be like a big thing in raising children is how much of a confrontation it is with your own like habits, I guess,
yeah,
your own struggles, your own how do you self esteem, like self build,
um,
how you view yourself.
your I was gonna say personal image. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, like your self worth and the way that you perceive yourself if you think well of yourself or negatively.
Yeah.
Um, and I think something that I noticed in before you have kids, it was possible to chill on the couch all day. And sure, I'll do my laundry tomorrow. I could sleep in a dirty bed for another night, for example. And now I can make that choice for myself, but my kid can't.
Mm-hmm.
So if he, for example, sweats through his bed sheets or he throws up, I have to make sure there's clean stuff ready. But also, gosh, I just had something really good in my head. Um, 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 um. Yeah, I lost it. It'll come again.
Did you want to leave it at that, or?
I'm genuinely upset that I lost this. I feel like I had such a good
Yeah,
point
but
to
you're
make.
I guess you're kind of talking about the responsibilities that come with being a parent and how you can't really compare with how your life is without kids versus with kids, and that you're kind of like forced
Right.
into responsibility.
I think part of ADHD is emotional regulation,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can experience things very intensely. And I noticed that in like the difference that me and my husband will have. I have more days at home with our kid than he does.
Mm-hmm.
He just works more. He has 1 day per week that he's it's just the two of them, and in that day he'll go to the woods with the dogs. He'll take them to get cleaning. He'll do a bunch of laundry. He'll finish the garden, um, and I'll come home and he's still energized and everything. But I have to say that he always has good days with our kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our kid barely cries with him, um, isn't clingy or anything, and the days that I have with our kid are often clingy, crying, and I'll just notice I experience it as intense and heavy, and not in the sense that I don't want it, but I'm pretty tired after a day of having him. No, I'm tired of when I have a day at home, taking care of him, taking care of the dogs, taking care of myself. Um,
Taking care of the house.
but I barely get to that taking care of the house. Like, sure, I'll vacuum, I'll clean the kitchen, but all the other chores that need to happen, I don't get around to them because it just feels like too much. And then I always question, like, oh, why do I experience it so intense? Why can't I do this? Why am I not good enough? And that being said, I haven't been in the best phase right now. Honestly, this year has just been kind of shitty, but I've mentioned that before. Um, so that doesn't help in quickly feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's also an ADHD thing of everything that needs to happen, but you just can't get to starting it. And there I noticed I can't do mind over matter, and I really want to learn. And in some things, when it's about my kid, I can, because that's just different. That's like reptile brain. You have to take care of them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things that don't absolutely have to happen right
There's
now,
no urgency involved.
I can't. And it's so frustrating because then I'll come home from work and I'll see my husband and he's done so much and I'm so thankful for that. But at the same time in my head there's just this voice of like, but you can't do this. And I feel like that ties in to the whole thing of how raising a family mirrors a lot of things.
Yeah, and finding your place in your world, I guess, as a still
Ooh, very
relatively
much.
new
Ooh,
mom.
ooh, yes. It's not even
I
about the
just brought
TCK.
it right back into
Yeah, but
topic.
honestly, it's not even about the TCK thing. It's really, it's not as simple as getting your body back, having wine with your girlfriends, and then you're yourself again. It's such a mental shift in all your responsibilities and mourning the independence that you had. Um, I mean, I've mentioned before, I have a friend, her daughter is the same age as Bo, and it helped me so much that we went through pregnancy and everything together. Um, but we were talking recently where we were reflecting, did we have kids too soon?
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily too soon.
Yeah.
We just wish we enjoyed the time we had more before,
Yeah.
because it's never the same. Kun and I can go on a date and enjoy being together, but there's always part of your brain, hey, I miss Bo. How's he doing? Um, you know?
Mm-hmm. You can't unplug in that sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just figuring how you're gonna balance all of that. My friend, She went to Rome with her husband and some friends for a few days, left her son, he's half a year older than Bo, uh, behind with family. And she said, the first day I walked around like a zombie, like, I don't want to be here. What am I doing? I'm counting down the days to going home. Did it already? Are you freaking kidding me? Sorry, the mic died. Um, and she said by day two, she was able to, okay, and she said, you literally have to make a decision. I'm going to enjoy this because otherwise it's just going to get worse. And it made me think about our Singapore trip coming up. Like, okay, shit, that's going to be hard, but I have to make a very conscious choice to, you know,
Yeah.
enjoy and not miss Bo the whole time. And I think that's really difficult because I've never had more than one night away from him, and now it's going to be more than a week. So it's difficult. But yeah, okay, enough talking for me.
No, I think that's really, really valuable is recognizing that that's something that you maybe struggle with is strongly worded, but something that's always in the back of your mind. And how do you keep your sanity and how do you keep your balance, and also the care for yourself in this time and in the future. Bo is going to be growing up, and there could be more children in the future that you're going to this is going to be on a repeat, because caring for yourself and caring for each other is like the foundation to like be able to be good parents.
But it's just like the whole concept of oxygen masks in a plane. You have to put it on yourself before you can help a kid. And I used to think that was selfish until I understood that, okay, but if it doesn't work helping the kid right away, you're going to lose consciousness and then you both die. That's a very intense example. But it if my partner and I aren't doing well, we can't be there for our kid. But in my mom brain, my kid is number one. So I will quicker focus on him than on my relationship with my partner. Because in some, it's not less important, but it sometimes feels less important. And I feel like that's different for everyone, different for moms than it is for dads. Um, I just experienced that very intensely.
I think one good thing about that, or maybe that could like explain that, is because your partner, he can feed himself, he can clothe himself, he can take care of himself, and your kid literally can't. So and I guess the mom brain is also like a part of that. That your child, yeah, your child is like your whole world, it's your everything. But also knowing their absolute dependence on you in comparison to an adult who can fend for themselves can make that feeling of urgency all the more stronger.
Yeah.
um which, I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but I could imagine that that's like how it would work.
Because how do you, like, if you compare the time that you were single, and now you've been in a relationship for like 9 or 10 years already, um, in finding your place and taking care of yourself as opposed to um, like taking care of each other, and how do you experience that?
I guess me and my personality, I am just more of a caretaker in general. um so I'm usually more focused on the other person than myself when it comes to like, have you eaten, have you had a good day, like, is there anything you need, are you well rested, things like that. Can I make food for you, did you eat enough? um but I guess, like, I do like to prioritize taking care of myself, which can be really difficult because you also just get caught up in the thrill of the day and things that need to get done and busyness at work, and life just happens. I am very much an avid believer of therapy. I think many people would be very much helped by therapy. I think many more people should go to therapy. And it doesn't always have to be because you're living on the edge and your depression is overtaking your life. I think there's much more to things that we could learn, whether it's like toxic habits of ourselves that we have built up, or how we view ourselves, or um, like learning to live with having ADHD, and how my brain works and how I can drive myself absolutely mad just from my own brain. So that is something that is always kind of there. Sometimes it's more in the background. Other times it's like more like prominent, like doing it like weekly. But it's something I very much believe in. I think, yeah, that's just an essential part.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're more of a verbal processor and more of a caretaker for other people. Um, what's the balance for you in making sure that your needs are met despite being the caretaker of other people naturally in a relationship?
That one's a little bit hard because I always feel like my nervous system is regulated once I know like everybody else's nervous system is regulated and like everybody is fed, everybody is calm, everybody's happy, then I can be like, okay. Um, so I'm actually learning like right now with a thing at work about kind of not giving a damn what the different or somebody else thinks, but taking care of myself and my yeah mental slash physical health, um, which is, and I've made no secret about this, very uncomfortable. Um, but I know it's also like it's for the best, to not be thinking about okay, but what does somebody else need from me? But like, what do I need from me? And I feel like this whole process is also a part of just yeah becoming an adult, is learning to recognize your own boundaries, recognize your own limits, because I'm not only like I'm quite high strung, um, uh, but I'm also like I stress out all the time and I'm always like kind of on edge and alert, and I work very well with pressure, which is like when I'm at my best, like in my focus, in my discipline, um, and having to realize that okay, for first of all, that is not a very sustainable way for living. Second of all, I am now being confronted with forcing myself to live in a constant state of like, even if it's like underlying stress, but not being able to let go, not being able to relax, my mind just going like like on the, you know, on the thoughts and the things. I'm like, oh this and oh that, oh no, how did this go, how did that go? I had a colleague that got sick last week, kidney stone. I had to call the shots for what he was going to do, how he was going to get home. And in that moment, okay, there's an emergency, we got it handled, you know. He got home safe, got to the doctors, figured it out. But at that time, he was not in the state to make a decision for himself. And afterwards, I mean, he and I talked about it, and it's all good. But I was very much, oh my goodness, did I make the right decision? Did I do something wrong? Did I bother somebody else now? Did I have the right to make a decision for him? This grown man, who said X and I said Z, you know? So I was like constantly thinking about that. And at the end of the day, I was like, but there was like multiple people like, but he was not in the state to make a decision. Like what you did was necessary and it was good. And I'm just like, no, I failed. I did something stupid. I did something dumb. I bothered somebody, you know? So it's learning to kind of not give a shit what somebody else is thinking, but to be like, okay, this is where my limit is at right now. And I need to take a step back and not try to take everything on my plate, to kind of take care of myself, is really hard. But it's something that I'm being forced to learn now. And I hope that in my coming years into more mature adulthood, is something I can benefit from and something I can get better at as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be very beneficial for myself and those around me. Um, Learning to kind of just, yeah, stick up for yourself.
And I think what you mentioned about being a verbal processor, needing that to, sort out your thoughts and figure it out, is why this podcast has been so good for us, and why it's, for me, to speak for myself, it's helped me come to so many realizations and conclusions, and I feel like it was a catalyst in the growth that I've had the past, because I honestly, if I look at like all the phases of growth in my life, I feel like the past 1.5 years have been the biggest or something. That being said, obviously I've also become a mother in the past 1.5 years, and that was a big part of it, but I feel like the growth wasn't even centered around that. It made things bigger, but my job and the podcast were really what finally got me. I feel like, for so long, we're in our late 20s. We didn't know about ADHD and all of that. So you grow up thinking all of the things that you experience are normal. And the things that you struggle with, everybody probably struggles with that, so you don't talk about it because it's normal. And sometimes you don't even realize you're struggling with it because it's been that way all your life. You think it's normal that you have to work twice as hard to get half of the shit done and still be told you're not good enough.
Literally, like, because Tess and I were both, we both have hypermobility, which is like always a really fun party trick, but very inconvenient at the same time. You sent me a post the other day that the connection between hypermobility and headaches after you cry, and I was like, this is not a normal thing. Like, people don't just experience this every single time they cry. Like, oh, I always thought this was normal. This was the baseline. Crying equals headache. But apparently it's this kind of intracranial pressure that is not supposed to happen. But like, one of those things is like how you experience life from such a young age and being told, yeah, you know, what is normal and what is not normal, and having to work extra hard. Just starting to think that the unnecessary extra struggle is the baseline. That's the norm. And starting to see that not everybody lives that way, and that those extra struggles aren't normal, and they shouldn't have to be the baseline. And it just kind of goes to show, I think, how much more you put up a fight for life, and keeping up with the flow and everybody else. I think it's like, it goes to show on how perseverant you can be.
I think it's a good, it's a compliment that look how hard you fought, and it shouldn't always be measured in look where you are, but look what you've overcome. I mean, I sent you a screenshot the other day as well, and your only reply was, damn, you chose truth this morning. But about the ADHD burnout. And I generally don't like throwing around terms like that because I also feel like it's overused, and I don't want to diminish people, who have a burnout. And I'm not saying we have a burnout, but the thought behind the ADHD burnout is that you couldn't focus in class. When you were in class and you were told for the 25th time that you had to focus, you were sitting there, I need to focus, I need to focus, I need to focus. So all you're doing is straining yourself to keep eye contact, to look like you're focusing, which makes that you're not focusing because all you're doing is focusing on focusing. I read a post by someone that said, if someone that's neurodivergent is having eye contact with you, they're not listening. They're trying so hard to fit the norm of what's expected in conversation and whatever. And I just felt so, funnily enough, seeing that because I'm always really struggling with eye contact unless I'm very comfortable with the person. And even then, I prefer not to. And at work, I'm reminding myself, oh, I need to look in their eyes. Okay, now it's okay to look away again, but now I need to look in their eyes again. And how that will distract me from what they're saying.
Literally, like when I'm speaking one-on-one with a person, we always learn that it's polite to keep eye contact when you talk with someone. You can blink and kind of like glance away, but in general, in the rule, you need to keep eye contact. And like the only thing, like when we are talking, like not with you because you're my sister and I like know you very well, is okay, I am now staring at their eyes. Okay, nod. Okay, give the approving smile. Yes, nod. Okay, blink. Maybe look away. I can look away. Okay, what are they saying? Keep eye contact. Smile once more. Nod your head. Say yes. Okay. You know that that's the whole thing that goes on in your head when you're like speaking with someone that you're not extremely comfortable with, just to engage in like the social etiquette, which I'm very much a follower and supporter of social etiquette rules. But this one, it takes a lot, and that's okay. It can take a lot. But learning to like live and cope with that is also kind of on us.
Yeah, but then the funny thing is, these are the things that you grow up thinking are normal. And I think, honestly, when mom's watching this, she's going to be like, huh? What are you talking about? I never knew that you experienced that. Also, because as a kid, I kept a lot inside. There's been so many times where I've like shared things with mom and dad, like, yeah, but I used to think this. Or I remember one time, I think I dreamt it because I spoke to mom and dad exuberantly about it. And they said, I swear this never happened. And, but this was like I said, don't like throwing around these terms. Let's put it this way, a very intense memory that really impacted me. And if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. But we were with the car in a garden center, parked, and we were sitting in the back seat, and dad was mad at mom and locked her out of the car, and it was raining, and he refused to let her in.
What?
This never happened. So I think I dreamt it, but it was real to me. It was a memory, and I spent so. It gave me like it impacted me negatively for so long, that I was so shook. Like, how can my dad do this? How can he treat her this way? Um, and so I think a couple years ago, I brought it up to them. Like, did this happen? Because I can't imagine you guys doing this, but it's been such an intense memory for me for years. And they were both like, what the hell? um, but to that extent of a lot of things would happen, or I would think they would happen, and I'd keep it in. So I never checked if things were true or not, which makes that you live in a very different like reality almost. Kind of sound like I'm crazy now, but
No, I get it though. You live in a like in a constant like dream world. Like I always say in Dutch, I always say I have a very hele actieve innerlijke leefwereld, which like translated means I have a very active inner
world.
world and life and experiences. Like on the exterior, I could appear very calm and collected, although that is not always the case, but it can be. But on the inside, it's just like absolute madness and like daydreaming and like creating scenarios and like having whole conversations with myself or with others in my head and just like 20 different tabs open at the same time. Um, yeah. But just to kind of like bring it back because we need to wrap it up. Uh, those forms of self-care and being able to look at yourself in the mirror and like confront those things also as we get older to make sure that we grow into a well-adjusted, healthy, as well mentally, because you know mental health is always a thing for us adults, is how I kind of hope to find my place in my world, because then I can be the best and most uplifting version of myself without um, uh, suffering just to try to keep the whole world on my shoulders, but to just also live and engage in my world and reap the benefits of um, a healed and well rounded and healthy version of me instead of keeping a mask on. And yeah, trying to be authentic in that way. And so finding a place in my world is very hard. And it's coming with a lot of struggles and a lot of reality checks and like painful memories, but also trying to embrace the whole journey and trying to stop rushing my life, accepting the fact that it's not, yeah, this is where I am now, and I don't have to have all of it by the time I'm 30. I don't have to be married. I don't have to have kids. I don't have to have a bought house. I don't have to have the big career. I don't have to have the fancy degree by the time I'm 30. Like, why do I feel like I need to have this by the time I'm 30? I'm trying to learn to just take it as it comes and stop stressing myself the fuck out. End of preaching.
I feel like that's a mic drop moment. Um, I relate to that very much, in the own processes that I've been going through with what I said, this being a shitty year, um, finding therapy to deal with some things in my head, um, to be the best mom, to be the best wife. And like I have mentioned many times in my conversations at work, to become more Tessa, to stop being a chameleon that can disguise herself everywhere and not share her voice. Um, and that's working step by step. And it's a lot of figuring out what's my next step, how do I get there. And I notice a lot of it doesn't come in the moments that you're talking about it, but I'll just be like walking or showering, and all of a sudden I'll have this realization like, oh, wow. So that's the connection, and that's why I think this way. And, but these kinds of conversations like will trigger those thoughts. So then tomorrow, for example, when I'm walking, I'll have those realizations. Um, yeah. And I feel like finding my place seems to really be something that the past year has been like. Before that, it was different. Like, it's more of a theme now or something. I don't know. Um, Putting down roots. Yeah.
One final closing thought. I didn't expect when I came up with this theme that it would unravel all of this.
I feel like this is one of those evenings of we have just a sentence as a theme, we'll go with it, and we actually got to some pretty deep stuff, which I always enjoy these episodes the most. Um, and we actually redid this episode because the other one had a completely different turn, but I feel like this one is so much better than the one that we did before. Um, so we want to thank you guys for watching, for listening, for just being here again with us, coming back for season 2. Um, yeah, thank you guys for that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share everything. We very much appreciate it. And we'll see you guys again next week for episode 4. Bye.